Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. This is going to be one of my traffic signals, and actually this is one of my favorites. This is a tall-finned eaglelux from the 1940s. And there's a lot of things about this that are special, and you don't really see all that often, even in eagleluxes. So I think this is quite a cool signal. And I say I got it for a decent price considering what it is, and I got it from a Facebook Marketplace meet, and it was quite a drive, like an hour and a half, I think, each way. But it was worth it. This thing is very rare and in really quite good condition. So, one of the things you'll notice immediately is the paint. The paint is pretty bad in some spots, and in some other spots it's quite nice. And we'll see that when we look at the back. But this came from the city of Detroit, and they were known for painting their signals with a brush and not being very careful about it. So there would be, dripping paint everywhere, and actually even here, you'll see some paint got on the lenses. If I'm not cleaning that off, it's gonna stay just as it is, because removing that removes its history, and it wouldn't be as cool. So we're just kind of doing a look over the front of the light. You'll notice it looks very similar to the Eagle flatbacks, and really the only difference is the fins on the top and bottom would just give it a little more character, makes it look a little cooler. So, looking at the top here, you'll see it's very simple. You'll see these two acorn nuts, and those are not actually real acorn nuts. They are brass covers that go over regular nuts, and you'll see that when we turn it over because it's actually missing one. But that's really the only thing that's wrong with it. Well, there's a couple of things, but I really like it. Alright, so that's it for the front. Now I'm going to actually put this on the floor so we can look at the back and the bottom. So here it is. I got it sitting like this. And we'll notice a couple things. Again, you can see the dripping paint. There's a good example right there. And yeah, the paint's pretty rough, but I like it. Another thing you'll notice is there's no logo on the back of this light. It's completely smooth. And that is consistent with the very early eagleluxes. The later ones, the late 40s, early in the 50s, would have had the eagle logo on each section. But this one doesn't have it. Instead, it has a little nameplate on the bottom that says eaglelux, KV63, Traffic Signal, Eagle Signal Corporation, Moline, Illinois, USA. And it says trademark registered patent office. And then you'll see two other ones. And these are patent number 1490567. And that's the original traffic signal patent. And then patent applied for, which is for this specific signal. So that's very cool. Now here, you'll see one of the brass nuts that would have came with this. But this one is a steel bolt, or a little standard nut. And you'll see there's actually a lead washer under this that is lead. So there should be another one of these. That would sit right on top of this. And what's kind of interesting is these are not actual size. These are just made with like nuts, but there's not, I don't know what size they are exactly, but they're not a normal measurement. There's some weird in between. I think there's a metric piece that you could use that would be close enough that it would work on this, but not really what it's made for. Other than that, you'll see this lip on the bottom is completely smooth. There's no teeth on it like modern signals would have. That would normally keep the signal in position. So you can tell this is kind of a primitive design. Now, let's look at these. And I'm actually going to turn this thing over so we can see the front. Alright, here it is turned over. Now you'll see these wing nuts here are on, I don't even know if these are some sort of cast eye bolt that's cast. Usually with something like this, on a modern signals, you'll just get a standard round eye bolt that's just kind of like a hook. But this one is actually cast. And you got your pin there with your other little bit there. And yeah, it's very nice. Now here's something that should have been quite obvious the first time. These visors are rusty. These are steel visors. They're not aluminum like every other signal you'll see. All the other signals I have that are aluminum have aluminum visors. This is the only one that has steel visors. And Eagle offered that as an option back in the day, and they actually they could make signals out of steel and bronze, maybe. They had a couple different metals that you could order these, but 99% of them you'll see are aluminum. And just to have these steel visors I think is really cool. So that's pretty much it for the outside of this light. Now let's take a look at the inside. So there is the Alzac aluminum reflector. But actually, first thing we're going to look at here is this lens. This is a COP number 88 lens, which is in itself rare. You never see these lenses really, and a lot of people I'm sure haven't even heard of them. There is a version of this lens, the COP 88A, which is extremely common, which is the same lens, but it has twice as many beads on it, so it's a much finer pattern. But this has much longer beads, and I think it looks so much better. And this signal has a complete set of COP 88 lenses. And now you'll see it's got this cork gasket, which is original, and it's falling apart, but I'm just gonna leave it as is. And then there's this 4-part ring that holds this in place. And that's another way you can tell that this is an early one. And that ring is made out of steel. You'll see there's a part where it overlaps there. And that's just not a very common feature. And on all other signals just past the 50s and onward, you wouldn't have that. And what I've heard is that this ring made it possible for when you had a command lens with the lettering, it'd make it easier because lenses would drift and they would kind of turn in their place. You could just loosen these 4 screws and twist that without having to mess with any tabs. It would just be a really fast, easy fix. And now you'll see this gasket in here. This is not original. I put this in when I got the light because the original asbestos gaskets were ruined. This is actually clothesline that I managed to put in there, and it might be a little small, but I think it looks quite fine. So yeah, that's the door, and it's great. Now here's your Alzac aluminum reflector. You won't see it on this, and this is of course covered in fur. So actually I'm going to open up the yellow section so we can see the stamp because it wore off of the green section. There you go. Alright, this is a little bit difficult to do with one hand. There you'll see it says Alzac something something. So that's cool. Normally you would expect something like this to have a glass reflector, but this has Alzac, which is interesting. Now the way this reflector is made, it's this kind of interesting shaped holder for it. It's not a one-piece unit. It's all kind of hold together with rivets or screws. There. Flathead screws. And you'll see there's these 2 very thin bars. One there and one there. Those are what hold this reflector in. And they're really thin, and so they're kind of springy, so that allows this reflector to kind of move around a little bit, and that allows it to push up against the door and kind of spring around. So it kind of makes a flush. It rests against this flushly and provides a better seal. And I see it's got this little clip on the side that you just kind of have to push in and pull out. And you'll see the back. There's your backlight socket, which is original, and the original wiring. Yes, that is the original wiring. It probably should get replaced, but I haven't gotten around to that. There's the back side of the reflector and the inside of the signal. You can see those two tie rods that go entirely through the signal. You can see the other reflector in there. So this is kind of a interesting signal the way that it's put together. There's no end plates like that one does on each, or end caps on each section. You can go kind of right through that. And you'll notice also here, it's in pretty rough shape, and that's normal considering this thing went through at least, I don't know, 50 to 60 years out in Detroit in that environment. It's gonna kind of have its toll. Now that wooden that's not original. That's something put in by the previous owners, and I just kind of left it. So I'm gonna close this up, and I don't have this wired up, so we won't turn it on. But I think this thing, just the way it is extremely cool. So there we go. Just gonna finish standing up. Here is a 1940s, very early 40s, like 1941, 1942, somewhere around there, eaglelux by Eagle Signal. Really a beautiful signal. Hope you have enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.